Right, morning everyone. Super exciting day today. We've got Rob Law, MBE, as a guest on our No Shelf Control, the book club that we created for people who love human recommendations. So this truly is a human recommendation from the human himself. So Rob is a inspiring example of a British entrepreneur who, through kind of sheer grit and a famous Dragon's Den rejection, has built an amazing business, now having sold over 4 million Trunkies. You can see the little Trunki in the background behind them. So welcome, Rob, and thank you so much for making time for us today. And thank you for the advanced copy of the book. I absolutely loved it. And look, everyone, I even got a personal inscription in it. How cool is that? When I opened the book and saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you. So from this idea that you had 20 years ago, when you were still at school, as far as I can remember, you've built this amazing business. But why don't you start by telling us what 65 Roses is all about and how this has defined your life?
Well, 65 Roses is a reference to what children quite often call cystic fibrosis, which is a life-shortening genetic disorder that I was born with, along with my twin sister. And it's not something I've really talked publicly about. I've just wanted to build the business on my own merits and never get any sympathy. But a couple of years ago, I did quite a bit of business speaking, and everyone always asked me I should write a book about my story. And I thought it was maybe time to sort of share the deeper side of the story that not many people, if any, really know about. And that's my own personal battle with cystic fibrosis, which sadly I lost my twin sister at 16 too. So although that was a hugely tragic and traumatic event, it was a very pivotal moment in my life, while I was faced with a fairly stark decision of wallowing in self-pity and succumbing to the disease, or choosing life and trying to get the best and the most out of it. And in the book, we call that the first chapter a promise, which is a promise I made to my mother.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful chapter, that, and it's really this promise that you made to your mother that she would never have to grieve for another child, and the terrible toll your sister's death took on her. But also, it's kind of become your mantra for life, this determination to live and to suck the marrow and to, really achieve everything. I mean, you've run half marathons or full marathons. I mean, you really, never mind the business, which is amazing, but you've done so much. I mean, you were told you would never have children, but now you've got 3 children. So it seems to me that's really your driving purpose in life, is this to do it and to make it and to be successful. And that to me is really the overarching theme of this book. And I'd like to actually read an extract, if I may. Okay, it says, from the outside, the story of my life can be defined as a story of survival against the odds, or a story of how persistence and creativity can drive success. The story from the inside is very different. Survival and success are simply the byproduct of my single-minded determination to focus on what I love doing and to build my life around this. I do this by choosing the battles to fight and which to ignore, always doing my best and not often succeeding, and keeping focused on what I can control and ignoring the rest. And that's, for me, I took as a huge message from this book, is, there's things you can control and things you can't. And there's plenty stories in here of out of control things that have happened in the business. Do you want to share some of those with us?
Yeah, I guess there's my creativity probably stems from a innate problem-solving skill set. And when you're trying to solve problems, you quite quickly realize you can't solve the problems that are completely out of your control. So you best break it down into small pieces and try and solve what you can. So many challenges we faced, I say we, I always use the word we when it's primarily me, but many challenges I faced have been from trying to find manufacturers to take the idea of Trunki on, and luggage manufacturers told me I'd invented a toy manufacturers told me I'd invented some luggage. And it was really a bit later on in my professional career as a design consultant, working with major FMCG brands like Unilever, that I really truly understood the power of strong branding. And to me, Trunki isn't a piece of luggage. It isn't a toy. It's a lifestyle brand that enables parents and carers to take their kids off exploring the world. And that was so obvious to me, but missed by everyone else. So I decided to try and take the product to market myself. But I had a failed licensing deal where I licensed it globally to a toy company who went bust after 3 years after having only ever sold Trunki to one company in Saudi Arabia. And then my first year of trading, I faced humiliation on Dragon's Den, the hand luggage ban of the summer of 2006, which is now the pivotal moment from having to carry all our toiletries in a plastic bag. But for the summer of 2006, you could not carry on hand luggage. And I just launched a children's hand luggage brand. And then all the way through to more recent times when I've been had a huge challenge with the factory that we manufacture Trunkis now in the UK. And the factory I reshored to went bust. We bought them out of administration, but quickly discovered it was a sinking ship for a reason, and had quite a long struggle to turn that around. But that's a huge achievement we have succeeded in. And then a big legal case that went all the way to the Supreme Court with a copycat, which we ended up losing. But each of these challenges, it's about using your energy wisely, and that's focusing on what you can control and not what you can't. And actually, kind of the current crisis we're dealing with COVID just has a lot of parallels with that first year of trading, when I was sat in my bedroom at home trying to manage this UK hand luggage ban. So it's quickly control the costs. There isn't much cash going out, so control your costs. Try and pivot the marketing message. It was all about air travel, so let's talk more about staycations, camping, etc. And then looking for the green shoots where internationally is this ban not affected, so exporting to Australia and Japan and places like that. And now it's looking to China and actually Australasia and New Zealand and countries that are able to travel more. Let's try and push more of our products over there. So
yeah, I mean, one of the quotes in the book, I'm just trying to find it here. A victory is never more than a hiatus in a series of defeats. So, I mean, that's also a pretty depressing thing, but I mean, it really is. It's just, you've got to carry on going. You just got to pick yourself up and do what you believe in. It's something that you've done. I mean,
it's what makes us human. It's overcoming these challenges that makes us grow, helps us grow and learn. If everything was always easy, we'd never really truly learn, I don't think. And it's my ability to face up to these challenges fairly rapidly and not see them as insurmountable, even if one direction might be insurmountable, but you've got to pivot and try and find your way around this hurdle. And you may go off in a different direction, but that's still overcoming the challenge and moving on with your life.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's so true for everyone. Some other themes that I picked up in the book are humility. You talk a lot about success requiring humility, creativity we've touched on, this whole mindfulness and living in the present. And you talk a lot about in your design process, you're completely kind of immersed in the moment and in what you're doing at that time. And also your passion for children and how much you love their spontaneity and you really just kind of fall adult in a kid's body, or a kid in an adult body. But what is it about this whole designing for children that gives you such a thrill? Why that?
I guess it's a road that I've ended up traveling down without necessarily really thinking a huge amount about it. I mean, for me, I'm just really passionate about using good design to improve people's lives. And having created the Trunki and finally got it to market, I noticed there was a niche in the market there's lots of baby products, from pushchairs and car seats, and there's lots of children's toys. But this kind of age of toddlers, there's quite a stark product offering, and certainly enabling those toddlers to get out traveling more, not just on holiday, but for everyday adventures. Kind of really felt there was a big gap there, and Trunki now as a brand could try and own that space. So we developed a whole range of other travel products from children's range, which are actually selling very well at the moment, through to kids swimming bags and car seats that double as backpacks. So one of the big lessons I've learned in business is you've only got so much resource, and you put all your time and effort in trying to build, in my case, these sales channels. So we just have to be laser focused on this children's travel space, we can't get distracted by creating products for other categories because we just don't have the resource to properly market and get them into the sales channels. So it's just focusing deep into this one category that we call kids travel. So I haven't really played outside of that space for quite a while, but it is really enjoyable. Getting the feedback from kids, seeing, I mean, now on Instagram, the consumer generated content that's hashtag Trunki that we then curate on our own feed, Trunki Travels. That to me is just the embodiment of our brand and what we really stand for, which is simply getting kids out and about, exploring more and learning and developing new skills.
You're talking a lot about brand, and I mean, that's another thing that struck me in the book. As a marketer myself, I could see just how brilliantly this brand is packaged together. The humor in your messaging, the creativity, things like little secret compartments in the Trunki for sweets, obviously the colors. I mean, it's just a really well put together brand. And you say you got insights from when you were working as a design consultant, but did you have help with this branding along the way, or was it just you doing what felt natural to you, or how did you get it right?
Well, I was hugely inspired by Innocence. This is about 15 years ago. They were kind of really pioneering, thinking differently about business. And to me, I'm always challenging the norm, as my natural skill set does. And they were kind of the new kids on the block, and they had funky job titles and a quirky office. And so I was hugely inspired by them. My business card reads Trunki's Daddy, and we've got sales superstars and sales sheriffs and administrator extraordinaires who work for us. So have a bit of fun, which is one of our core values. But coming back to your question, I mean, the branding side, it just comes down to what the product, really. So once you've got your product, it's fundamentally marketing is about word of mouth advertising. That's free. So if you can create a good product that really meets consumer needs, and for us, we've got two consumers, we've got the parent and the child. So we need to create functionality and value for the parent, which is all around utility and innovation. And then for the child, it's just so simple. It's just making something they can fall in love with. And there's no better kudos than children having their birthday cakes in the shape of Trunkies to prove that point. I mean, we get inundated with pictures of kids taking their Trunkies to bed with them. It's like their little pet that they're so fond of. So that's incredible. And I guess it's a bit of a fluke that I ended up creating a product that they have such attachment to, just by trying to make it slightly animalistic in the early design days. But yeah, I think we've built the brand on an absolute shoestring. We've not had big marketing budgets at all. So it's just trying to always think outside the box, trying to have a bit of fun and just create fun content that hopefully is shareable.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. And I mean, you just need to walk through any airport, well, not at the moment, but there's kids on Trunkies all over, and they just love them. And when I told somebody I was doing this interview, I said, my nephews, they've all got Trunkies, they all love their Trunkies. So it definitely is a household name. Well done. And I think the next well done for you is going to be this book. I'm convinced it's going to be a bestseller, so I'll congratulate you in advance. But what made you decide that now's the time to share your story?
Well, I guess trying to always think a bit ahead and being questioned quite severely about this by my coach. What am I doing this all for? So for me, it became very clear that I wanted to have a family. And in order to do that in my mind, I needed to de-risk the business a bit for myself and to be able to hire really experienced people. So I did a fundraise that allowed me to do that. And realizing that I've got a great team around me, I've delegated so much other than kind of branding and product design, that actually the business can run itself day to day without me interfering all the time. So I took a step back to spend more time at home with the kids. And that gave me the space also to really explore this idea of the book concept. And interesting, like Trunki was turned down by luggage manufacturers and toy manufacturers, the book really just wanted to tell my story in a slightly different way. And is it a business book? Is it a personal memoir? Well, the publishers said it was neither and didn't want to publish the book. So it took a while working with my agent to find a publisher, and we eventually secured Wiley, which was a turned out to be a cold call through LinkedIn, actually.
Oh, wow.
And they were looking to take an entrepreneurial personality and create a book with them. And we already had a blueprint of the story. And they've been hugely supportive of the creative direction we've taken. So yeah, it's kind of it's hard to pigeonhole. It is a business book, but it's also a motivational book. It's also relevant to all our customers. I mean, it's relevant to almost everyone because it's a story of just dealing with daily setbacks and how to overcome them.
Now, so you wrote it with Dr. Peter Hughes, who's a psychologist. And I mean, it was absolutely brilliant insights all the way through the book on, you know, human behavior, human motivation, the reasons why we do things. I mean, the way in the book you talk about, you know, the cognitive biases that all the dragons had and why they did what they did. It's really fascinating. So was this whole process a kind of a cathartic experience for you to get this all out now in a story?
Yeah, it was a really, really interesting journey to go on with Peter, and yeah, just distilling all the stories I've got into the most page-turning stories and ones that had the most valuable lessons. So he acted as a great filter there, and then yeah, got the story down on paper, and we digged deep into some of the psychology behind that, which was really interesting. And yeah, when you're at the coalface, when you're just running at 100 miles an hour, it's hard to look back and reflect. So yeah, he took me very carefully back to the earlier days, and took me back to dealing with the death of Kate, my sister. Yeah, it was a very, very therapeutic, I guess, experience to go through with Peter, and we've created this book.
Well, I think it's brilliant, and I love the pictures in it also. And my favorite, I'm going to show this one here, is of Trunki meeting the Queen's corgi, which is also a very cool story, how you kind of snuck that one in. Why don't you share with us?
I guess a bit like Richard Branson, I'm always thinking of a PR hook. And so, yeah, I was asked to receive an MBE from the Queen for services to business, which I didn't really think I deserved, but thought it'd be a great family day out to take the parents to. But going along, I thought, well, I'll take a Trunki along dressed up as a corgi, covered Tipuar tiger in a load of fur. But thought it'd just be completely inappropriate to present it to the Queen, and also I might get shot by security handing her a piece of luggage that hadn't been scanned. So yeah, it just played a bit of a background role of our day. And then when we were walking around Windsor Castle, I spotted the Queen's dog walker in the distance and kind of ran up to her to get that photo you've just seen.
Well done, brilliant. And yeah, so getting the MBE, well done on that too. I mean, you're amazing honor, and I mean, your parents must be so super proud. But what is it like seriously walking through the palace, and what does it look like on the inside?
Well, this was at Windsor Castle, so we got a tour around Windsor Castle with everyone else, and then there's very proper dressed up chaperones, I guess you'd call them, who tell you all about the process of what you can and can't do when you meet the Queen. It's a very surreal experience, and you're in this grand hall with a big audience, including your family, and then you take it in turns to walk up and meet the Queen, and a chat whispers in her ear just before you go up to brief her, and she said, "Oh, so you make these little suitcases?" So we had a brief conversation around that, but actually it's quite hard to remember exactly what happened in the moment. I just remember, yeah, just drifting off and thinking about my sister.
Oh, she would have been so proud to see you there too. Well, I don't want to keep you terribly much longer, and thank you so much for sharing with us and being so vulnerable with us also. But what's next for you? So you've got 3 kids now. Is there going to be more of that, or more marathons, or more businesses? What's next?
So yeah, the kids are a great focus, huge stress reliever as well, and yeah, it's been beautiful spending so much time with them. So yeah, the book journey is a new chapter. and we'll explore where that takes me, alongside still being involved in the business and ensuring we remain the global children's travel brand.
Well done, thank you. And yes, everybody go buy the book. I'm going to put the link up on our shelf and on the group, or it's available on Amazon also. And good luck with it all. I can't wait to see all the feedback and great support you get on it.
Well, hopefully it will resonate with the current climate.
It definitely will. Things you can't control. Great. Thank you, Rob. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Jessica.